Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the incredibly fascinating world of consumer psychology to figure out what really drives our economic decisions and, let's face it, our sometimes questionable spending habits. Have you ever stopped to wonder just how much of your hard-earned money is spent not by your rational, logical brain, but by deep, subconscious urges? Well, today, we're going to look right under the hood of your own mind to see exactly why you buy the things you buy. We are exposing the hidden forces that, quite frankly, turn us all into very predictable shoppers.
Because, let's be totally honest here, we have all done it. We've all stood there staring blankly at a receipt, or maybe at some random item we just brought home, and loudly asked ourselves, why did I buy that? It's a deeply universal human experience. You walk into a store with a rock-solid, highly logical mission to simply buy a gallon of milk. But then the atmosphere hits you. You enter this weird consumer trance, you start wandering the aisles, and an hour later, boom, you walk out the door with a giant inflatable flamingo and a brand new set of spatulas.
Think about that intense, momentary thrill of snagging a flashy new toy on an impulse, and contrast it with that sinking feeling of heavy, immediate buyer's remorse that hits you the second you get to your car. That sudden shift in emotion isn't just a total accident. It happens because when you put that item in your cart, your brain absolutely floods with dopamine. It's literally the thrill of the hunt. But once that transaction is complete, the dopamine fades, leaving you with the harsh reality of the money you just spent. It's the direct result of invisible forces acting on your decision-making process.
So, today we're going to solve the mystery of your spending habits by unpacking those exact forces over 4 quick sections. First up is the power of incentives. Next, we'll look at the loss aversion trap, then the magic of decision framing, and we'll wrap it all up with becoming a mindful shopper.
But before we get into the specific tricks, we really need to understand the big picture. These psychological principles, the mental shortcuts and cognitive biases we're talking about, they're the overarching framework that dictates almost every single economic decision we make. See, your brain is essentially a supercomputer, trying to process millions of inputs every single second. To prevent a total meltdown, it relies on mental shortcuts, which are basically ancient survival mechanisms designed to help us make quick, efficient choices. And businesses, they know this. Modern marketers have essentially figured out how to hack these ancient survival shortcuts to shape our financial choices. All right, let's jump right into our first section and explore exactly what pushes and pulls our behavior: the power of incentives. Incentives are the absolute bedrock of human action. It really boils down to a fairly simple equation. You have positive incentives, which make you want to do something, like a kid earning an allowance or getting a prize for cleaning their room. And on the flip side, you've got negative incentives, which make you want to avoid doing something, like getting grounded for leaving that room a complete mess. It's the classic carrot and the stick, right? But hey, this isn't just for kids. Think about your credit card points offering you cash back. That is a positive incentive. Now think about a massive late fee on your utility bill. That's a negative incentive keeping you strictly in line. And marketers, they are absolute masters at weaponizing these incentives, often dressing them up in really clever ways just to drive sales. They might hit us with a super urgent negative incentive, like a huge flashing limited time offer, buy now sign. The negative incentive there is the underlying threat of missing out. It creates this powerful artificial scarcity that completely overrides your logic and floods your brain with panic and urgency. Compare that to a positive financial reward, like a sign simply offering to save $5 on your next purchase. Both are designed to make you act, for sure, but they pull totally different psychological levers to get you to open your wallet. Moving right along to our second section, let's look at how this builds into a truly fascinating emotional quirk in our brains: the loss aversion trap. Picture this. Step 1, you're just walking down the street, minding your own business, and boom, you spot a crisp $5 bill right there on the sidewalk. That sparks joy, doesn't it? It's a really fun, lucky moment. But then, imagine step 2. Later that afternoon, you reach into your pocket to buy a coffee, and the money is gone. Just picture that frantic patting of your pockets, the sudden drop in your stomach, the lingering frustration. If you're like most of us, that doesn't just feel like a minor bummer, it feels absolutely devastating. Behavioral economists have actually studied this extensively, and the results are wild. They define this as loss aversion. It's a proven psychological phenomenon showing that the emotional pain of losing something vastly outweighs the satisfaction of gaining that exact same thing. The crazy part is studies show the psychological pain of losing stings about twice as much as the joy of gaining. Even though the money amount in our example is exactly the same, $5, people will fight tooth and nail to avoid losing something, way more than they will exert effort to gain something totally new. The pain simply stings way more than the joy delights. Retailers know all about this deeply ingrained fear, And they exploit it brilliantly. They offer you free trials or allowed 100% money-back guarantees. Why? Because it totally neutralizes your brain's fear of loss. By removing that perceived threat, they lower your natural defensive walls, making you significantly more likely to sign up. But here is the real genius of it all. Once that product is sitting on your kitchen counter or that subscription is active, something called the endowment effect takes over. You start to feel like you genuinely own it. At that point, canceling the trial suddenly feels like a loss. And as we just learned, your brain will do almost anything to avoid a loss, so you end up keeping it.
Okay, let's head into our third section, the magic of decision framing, which exposes the pure illusion of how choices are actually presented to us. Imagine you're craving a snack at the grocery store. Would you rather buy a candy bar that's boldly labeled 50% fat-free, or one that literally says 50% fat? The fat-free one sounds miles better, doesn't it? It triggers this health halo effect, making the candy seem somehow virtuous. But guys, mathematically, they're the exact same thing. Or imagine being offered two completely identical apples, but one has a shiny healthy choice sticker smacked right on it. The way the information is framed completely alters reality in your brain, totally changing how you value the exact same item. This exact same trick applies to pricing. Let's say you're buying a movie ticket. Option 1 just says, pay $10 now. Option 2 says, save $2 if you buy 2 weeks in advance, otherwise $10. Framing the choice as a savings, rather than just listing the baseline price, is incredibly effective. Your brain absolutely loves a good game, and it really loves feeling like it's winning. By framing a standard price, penalty, as a missed opportunity for savings, companies completely bypass your natural defenses against spending your cash. And this right here is the ultimate framing trick. Seeing a giant sign screaming, buy one, get one free, feels thrilling. It feels like a massive event. But wait, what if the sign simply said, get 50% off 2 items? If they're $5 items, it's literally the exact same deal. You are paying $5 for 2 items either way. But the word free is basically a magic spell for our cognitive biases. It triggers something called the zero price effect, causing a huge emotional spike that fundamentally breaks our rational cost-benefit analysis. It makes that BOGO offer seem infinitely more appealing. So that brings us to our final section, becoming a mindful shopper. This is all about how we actually take all this psychological insight and use it to our advantage out in the real world. Our brains are amazing, no doubt about it. But as we've seen, those ancient survival shortcuts can easily lead us straight into financial traps. By actively recognizing these invisible marketing tactics, you take back control. The absolute biggest step you can take is to literally just implement a physical pause. Try using the 24-hour rule for any non-essential impulse buy. Just put the item down, walk out of the store, and if you still genuinely want it tomorrow, buy it. Or try this hack. Instead of looking at the price tag in dollars, calculate the cost in hours worked. If that flashy new jacket cost 15 hours of your hard labor, is it really still worth it? By actively pausing to think critically about how a deal is framed, looking right past those loud red signs and the magic word free, you completely bypass those mental shortcuts. You transform into a super smart economist, making highly proactive, rational decisions instead of reactive, emotional ones. I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to take with you on your next trip to the store. When you're standing in that aisle, the dopamine is pumping and that flashy limited time deal is calling your name. Take a deep breath, stop, and ask yourself, is this actually my choice or is it a trick? Keep thinking critically, and thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.